Hi there, it's Winston Okasubo here, and we are on the app development course. So, in the last class, we were able to look at some basic programming concepts using that. Today, we'll be looking at Flutter. So, Flutter is the language we need to actually create our mobile app. And for us to create our mobile app, or for us to use Flutter, we already installed the Flutter SDK in the first class, and we also installed our Visual Studio Code. So today we'll be looking at some other things that we need to do for us to start using Flutter and also creating our first mobile app. So let's get straight into the video. So this project is already set up, but let's walk through the whole process of setting this up. So firstly, you need what we call extensions. Now, extensions are basically some small applications inside Visual Studio Code that helps us write code faster. And these extensions don't just make us write code fast, they also help us in debugging. Now, debugging simply means spotting out the errors in your code, because the programming language follows a particular syntax and some rules. So when you write codes and you don't follow that rule, some of these extensions will help you spot out those errors, so it becomes easier for you to write. So what are these extensions that we need? Head over to the extensions panel, then go ahead and search for Flutter. Now when you search for Flutter, lots of suggestions will come in. But now, within those suggestions, I'll need to install the ones you see here. So first of all, install this one called Flutter. Now installing this one called Flutter, I'll also install another extension called that behind the scene though. So install this, then you install Flutter helpers, load this one. So just go ahead and the names that you're seeing here, just go ahead and install them. So once you type Flutter, you'll see them. So you can see the ones I've already installed. So the other ones, you don't need to bother yourself about it. So let me see what this one entails. So I use most of these extensions because it makes it simpler for me to write. Okay, I think that's what we need. Then after you're done installing these extensions, but remember you would have installed the Flutter SDK and placed it in the documents folder and do all that linking stuff. So after you do that, the next thing we are going to do is we're going to create a new Flutter application. Now creating a Flutter application is very simple. So after you're done installing, you type Ctrl-Shift-P. Now when you type Ctrl-Shift-P, you see various options. So you go ahead and type Flutter in those options. Then you see some options, you see Flutter New Project. Now the one that says Flutter New Project, that's the one you're going to select. So go ahead and select Flutter New Project. Now you see various options, then you select Application. Then it will ask you where you want to create it, and you select the folder. So once you select the folder, basically create the application in that folder. So I already have mine, yeah, so I'm not going to do that. And when you ask for the name of the application, you can call it example app, or you can use the default that's already there. It doesn't matter. So you can see this Flutter application one. It doesn't really matter. If you have a nice name to name your app, whichever one works for you. So after that, please make sure your laptop is connected to the internet for this to work, because it's actually going to download some files. So when it's done downloading, it will be downloading somewhere around here. You'll see creating project and override something. So when it's done, it will tell you that okay, it's done. Then you can start viewing your app. Now when it's done, these files will be generated. Before I start explaining what these files are, let's quickly run our app for the first time. So once you're done creating, I think this terminal will be open by default. Now, so this is where you actually see lots of things as regards our application. So this is the debug console. We're also going to see errors there. So when there are errors, they'll also show here. Now for this course, I need to actually pay close attention to what I write and how I write it, so you don't have unnecessary errors. So now the first thing we'll do is to select the device I want to run our app on. Now remember in the first course I told you Flutter can work on Android, iOS, the web, and desktop, right? So for now we're going to be debugging on the Chrome browser. So here where they say no device, I'll select the Chrome, which is the device I want to run my app on. So then I'll go into this library folder, then main.dat. Yeah. So while here, I'm going to start my debugging. So I can start my debugging by pressing F5. I come here and click run on debug. So when I click run on debug, it's going to start debugging my app. And while it's debugging my app, it will show on my Chrome browser. Now while my app is setting up, let me explain what these folders are used for. So really, you don't want to bother yourself with all these other folders except the library folder. Now the library folder is what actually will contain our codes. So for now, pay close attention to the library folder. Now in this current project, we only have one file in the library, which is the main.dat. Now basically the main.dat marks the starting point of our app. So whenever we are debugging our app, it starts from the main.dat. So we'll wait for our app to load up, then we'll see what it looks like, and we'll do further explanations. So yeah, now the app is starting up, and please make sure you're connected to the internet for this to work. So if you're not connected to the internet, it's not going to work. So I'm going to minimize, so like drag this closer so it has that phone view, like it doesn't look that big. And one thing I will also do is, should I do that? So I would have made my code window smaller. So yeah, let me just do it. So I'll make this window smaller to one side, so the other one can just fit in, so I don't have to be switching through various screens. Yeah, I think this is okay. So yeah, so when it loads up, so you have this app that's really we don't know what it means. I'll draw this down a bit. So this is the starter app for Flutter. So basically it shows the counter app that counts when we press plus. You might ask, what does this mean? Well, in this scenario, it doesn't mean much, so you don't have to bother yourself about it. Then now let's explain how this page comes to be. So if you're actually running this on an emulator or a simulator or a mobile phone, you'll actually see it's more nicely than the way it's showing here. Or if you inspect and check it on a mobile phone, you'll still see how it looks. Now this whole page we are seeing here is based on this code. Now the most important part of this page, the first part is this function that's this class that says my app. Alright, so if you don't know what classes are, so you can just quickly check on ChatGPT what are classes and all of that, but don't bother yourself much about it. So you have this class, and there's a function. The major part, there's a function here called build. So this is actually a function. The last class we're talking about function, so this is actually a function as a return type of widget. So just a material app that has some theming. So if you go through the comments, you'll see what they actually mean. Then this part. Now this my app has this part that says home and specifies something. So basically this specifies the page that loads first. Now each page in our app is going to be referred to as a class. Now that's how it's being represented. So each page is a new class. Alright. So this page we are currently seeing now is this class called my home page. So this is the code that actually represents what all these guys mean. Nothing serious. So this code is actually much. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new page. So we'll explain it gradually. So for us to create a new page, just go ahead and press Ctrl N. Now it's not in all cases that Ctrl N would work. The most important thing there is the new page that we want to create has to be inside this library folder. This library folder. So I'll click on this library folder first, then I'll use this icon here that says new file. So when I press this new file here, then I can now create a new file. So I'll call this, what should I call it now? Let me call it page 1. or I'll call it screen1, screen_1 dot that. So all your screens will be dot that, right? Now screen1 has been saved. So what you do is go ahead and type FUSTL. Now when you type it, you press Ctrl space. So Ctrl space after typing anything basically gives you suggestions, right? So this FUSTL, I'll further explain it later on, but one of the extensions that we installed allows us to type this FUSTL. Then by selecting that first option, right? So this is the option I selected, stateless, one that says stateless widgets. So by selecting it, it generates this page for me. So we use Shift alternate F to align our code. Yeah. So let me leave it as this for now. Okay. So now that we have this this page up, let me just put the title here that says hello world. Right. So after saying hello world, we've done this, but now it's time for us to see the screen. So I'll go to my main.stats and scroll up, then scroll down a bit to the part that says home on the my material app. Right, this material app gives us lots of options. So go to the part that says home, that's here. So what you do is you remove what is here, watch closely, remove what is here. Then from the screen that we created, so the name of the class is screen1. So I'll go ahead and type screen1. Now if I'm typing and it don't bring suggestion, so I press Ctrl space for suggestion. So now the suggestion that I'm going to select is this one that says screen1 and showing where it's coming from. So example lab screen1. So if this thing was longer, you'll see the full name. Well, I'll just select that first one, right? So that's it. Now what that did is, why I selected it is because we have the screen1 in this other file and the main.dat is here. Now by selecting that, it imports the screen1 from that folder, so it imports it. This is also a programming term because they are both on different files. So I'm importing that class from the file where it was created so I can reference it. If it wasn't imported, I just type it manually, it will throw an error, as you can see, because this screen1 is the class screen1 is not declared on this page, right? So that's why it was imported. So yeah, now I press Ctrl save, my app will reload, right? So this is what we call hot reload. So hot reload basically, as you save it reloads, as you save it reloads. So that way it saves us lots of time. So yeah, it shows us this. And to further explain what is happening here, so Shift alternate F, I'm aligning my code, yeah, so I think this is okay. So I'm going to drop a comma here. Now, adding a comma in your code makes the alignment easier. But I think there's an extension that is stopping me from aligning that code like that, but no problem. So now I have my app bar, and let me just put a comma here. That's after this text and this bracket. So pay close attention to the bracket. I'm going to say background column, and I'll say colors.red. Then Shift alternate F, so it's aligned now. So when I save it and my app comes back up, so I'll see a red background at the app bar. Now, what this code is simply doing, right? This code here, this is our screen. So this screen now, we have this function called build. Now this build is basically wherever we put it, what is going to show when that class is called as a page. And now we are returning something called scaffold. Now this leads us to the next concept of widgets. Now remember in the second or first class, I talked about a data type called widgets, right? So now in Flutter, everything is a widget. So even a page is a widget. Now why are widgets important? Because whatever we need to do, we need a widget for it. Are we together? So now we have this function called build, and the return type is a widget, right? So we are returning a widget, and there are different types of widgets. Now, what is being returned here is a scaffold widget. Now, the advantages of widgets is that widgets have what we call properties. So if you are familiar with HTML, you would have heard about properties, right? So widget has what we call properties, and in HTML it's more like attributes. Now what this means is that in HTML some elements have some attributes which are unique to them. For example, the image has the sroc, but they cannot use class and all of that stuff. So some widgets have some attributes that are unique to them. Now, depending on the widgets you are using, will determine what will show on the screen. So as we go further, you'll see some other widgets, then you will further understand what widgets are. Well, now we are returning a scaffold widget. Now, the scaffold has some major properties. The first one is the app bar. So ideally, the app bar is this part that shows here. Right? So in most of your apps, you also see this top side. It's basically the app bar. That's the top side of your app that has one background color. Sometimes it's white. Sometimes it has a color. So that part is called the app bar. So now the app bar is only available on the scaffold widget. Now, aside the app bar, we also have the body. Now, the body talks about the other parts of the page, right? Now, aside the body, we also have the scaffold also has some other properties like floating action button, bottom navigation bar, and all of that stuff. When we get there, you'll actually see what it means. But for now, we are focusing on the app bar and the body, right? So now in the body now, we can then go ahead and put a container here. But before that, the app bar now is accepting a property, other class of app bar. So this is another widget. Now this widget now gives us the ability to set a title and a background color. Now the title is also accepting another widget called the text. Now the text widget is what allows us to write. So we have a text widget that says hello world. Then we have a background color, that's a property of the app bar that says red, that's colors.red. So if I want blue, I'll say colors.blue. So whichever color I want. And the other options of setting colors. So this is what the app bar widget is. So basically the concept says that we are having nested widgets. So you're having a widget inside a widget, similar to what you have on HTML. So when you have a div inside a div, an element inside an element, right? So next up now is this body that says a container. A body that says a container. Now with this container, we can also give it, the container has a property called a child. Now in most widgets, when you want to put another element inside, or sorry, when you want to put another widget inside the current widget, sometimes they have a property called child, which is very popular. So a child means that widgets can take another widget. Now set a child of text. Alright, so now I just want to write something here. So this is a text widget. I'll say, okay, this is programming. Now if you watch closely, you'll notice that this is programming is a string. The data type is a string because it's inside quotes. Same thing with this guy. So basically the text widget accepts a string. So when I save this, then I can see this is programming. So this is just a simple text widget, and there's a container here and a child, right? So not all widgets have the child property, but most of them have the child property, whereas some has the children. And the children is for some widgets like the rows and columns, where you have lots of content you want to put on that same page. So you then have the children. So the next class we'll see what the row is and what the column is. So for this point, what we've basically done is change our home screen to be the screen one that we've created, and we've added the app bar, which is under the scaffold, and now we also have the body, which is a container. Now we have just this simple text. So in our next class, we'll look at some other cool widgets that we can use and how to create wonderful pages. So see you in the next class. Bye for now.